Okie dokie. Here we are. Wait a minute. Am I in focus? I should be. Tell me. Maybe it's just my glasses are dirty because I've been in the kitchen. Tell me if everything's good. I've I've just been standing over the stove. And good morning, Colin. Down under. Um, it's always happening. I have the family in, but I've been cooking and hopefully I turn things off and we're going to do it. And here we go. So, welcome everybody to another weekly live stream here. We'll see if we get to a full hour or not. There's a big laundry list of things to do. But again, seriously, I think I have a cloud over my glasses because of the cooking and stuff. Oh, yeah, these are filthy. But and the teleprompter, which you may have seen in a video in the past. Hold on, I have a better one over here. This is ridiculous. Yeah, I'm in focus. All right, kids. Thank you, Colin, for the confirmation. And here we are. So yeah, hours away here in the US of A for Thanksgiving to take place. And happy Thanksgiving to you too, Thaddeus. Canada, DJ, you guys already did that thing a while ago. You cooked your goose, your turkeys, your hams, whatever it is that you prefer. I'm doing 2 turkeys, 1 ham, because now we're up to 21 people tomorrow. So the cranberry sauces are done. I make that from scratch. We do 1 chunky, 1 smooth. So you got to get that, through a couple of sieve processes. It's going to be a rough one. What's cooking literally or just in general, Brandon? But this is the weekly live stream. This is where we kind of get into things that you've been working on. I answer questions about projects that you might be working on, anything that's production related. I have generally no idea how many people are here. And the day before Thanksgiving, I either expect more people or far less people to be on the live stream. But it's our opportunity to kind of talk about news. I'm sure we'll be talking about that Kodak Super 8 camera and Black Friday / Cyber Monday / Black Friday month / Cyber Monday week / month and all of that fun stuff. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a new episode up today, which has my general picks for the things that I think, that I think are interesting for our area of expertise and interest: cameras, lighting, lenses, batteries, light modifiers, backgrounds, all that kind of stuff. So that's today's episode. I'm excited about tomorrow's episode, which I had to shoot this part, the stand-up, twice because I was shooting content over there with my daughter for a lighting lesson, which basically is going to be on the difference between using a white and a gray background and then throwing color on that and really taking a look at that visually. And I set the A7C2, this camera right here, to an audio level of 20 so that I could have, excuse me, I don't know what the heck's going on. So I could set the audio level to a level 20 so that I could have good scratch audio, because I want to do audibles, which is, talking into the camera so that I can hear when I'm editing what my settings are. I tend to do that in production a lot. Especially when I'm creating educational content, what I'll do is I'll just turn on the microphone on the camera or turn it up and then do audibles for the settings that I'm using. So I might be changing the color temperature of the light or the intensity of the light or a setting on a camera. And so I'll do that. And then, of course, I reset to shoot the stand-up for that video for tomorrow. And it was still at 20 instead of 1 because I have it set to the lowest amount in the A7C2 because I'm letting the MixPre 6.2 over there do all the heavy lifting to make sure that we can take advantage of those beautiful preamps that are inside of that device. So so I shot that. That's all edited. Friday's episode is edited. So those are all in the can, ready to go. They're scheduled. I did a little promo video today that went out. I accidentally said December instead of November for Black Friday month. And it's what are you gonna do? This is life. And there you have it. So like I said, I think tomorrow's episode will be interesting. Lots of visuals, some behind the scenes in terms of the setup. It's not completely unlike yesterday's episode, where I'm talking about the EPOS 300 and the little rig with the Arca Swiss plate and stuff like that. But it's really a totally different subject matter, and the purpose of it is very different. All right. So for me, it's all about the chat here. The last thing I saw was Brandon saying, "What's cooking?" So let's get it going. And at theC47, questions or comments about equipment, OpenAI. That's a mess. That's a movie coming. That's 100,000,000% a movie coming, or many. There's a mini series in the works right now. There's probably a feature film. They're probably doing animated. It's going to be ridiculous. We're going to be hearing about that one for a long time. It's you're out of the company, you're back in the company. You're with Microsoft, you're out of Microsoft, you're back in the company. That's crazy stuff. Okay, so I hope when we look back historically that it's Sam Altman, right? We don't say his name like in the Terminator. We're in for a messy ride, kids. All right. So it's like my internet died or something. Hopefully it didn't. There's nothing happened here in the chat. So hopefully I'm still cranking along. Somebody at least say ahem or cough or something into the chat, because I'm seeing no comments or anything. Oh, I saw a thumbs up. That's something. Give me I can hear you, Jem. You're talking into the ether to the universe, but we're sort of listening because we're ready to do other things. Starting my day, Colin. DJ's hanging out over on the other coast. Cough. Thank you, Thaddeus. All right, so let's get the conversation going. It, again, never has to last for the whole hour, but I'm happy for it too, as long as I don't have something like the million things I have today waiting on the other side of it. But let's get something going here. What do you guys want to talk about? I'm ready to go. If you want to hear about some of the stuff I've been doing with Kelvin lights and my thoughts on that, I'm happy to share them. Tomorrow, I'm actually using the 4-foot Pavo tubes along with the EPOS light and that kind of stuff. And there you go. Camille, good to have you here. It's been a while. Any experience with the Sennheiser SL1 head mic? No, none at all. I've used Rhodes before, and I have B&H has a brand that I bought, just a one-sided one that just goes over the ear. I have, hold on, let me get it. It's this one right here. Let me see if I can cover my face here. Got it on a B&H deal of the day, UEM-155. I really like the Rode one, but the Sonal, which is kind of their, it's kind of like their Sony slash, Sennheiser. Let's say it's not a knockoff brand, but they're. I don't even know if they're. I don't know. I bought it. It was like $50. It sounds pretty decent. I think the trick with that, and you're probably thinking about a larger headset mic. I'm not familiar with it. Is, it sounds a little more live. It's not as warm as a boomed mic generally. And so you kind of have to do a little something. I mean, I do a little something in the episodes every day too. I kind of just lift the low end just a little bit, so it's a little bit more radio voicey. I don't do it for the live stream. I do just kind of smoothing out, compression, that kind of stuff. Duck, ooh, I love Duck. Duck is like, I don't have a problem with having ducks as I don't have any ducks as pets, but if I had ducks as pets and then I had to eat the ducks, this is a constant conversation in our house. I wouldn't have a problem with it because I think it's one of the most delicious birds in the entire known universe. So duck all the way, à l'orange, confit, baking. It's a delicious bird. Has so much more flavor. I mean, turkey tastes better, I think, than for me, than chicken in terms of just like actual base flavor, but it's still kind of a vessel for things like the gravy I'm going to make. All right, here's the menu for tomorrow for the 21. There's everybody bringing their favorites. So there's some weird stuff. There's something called green jazz, which is a green jello with whipped cream on it. There's the not my jam, but the sweet potatoes with the marshmallows thing. There's going to be a green bean casserole. There's a certain point when I've had enough wine where I'm kind of digging that and actually go try the green jazz too, but it's not really my core. And then we'll have appetizers. There's usually like a squash soup. Don't even get me going about pumpkin pie. That's what I call baby poopy pie. That's on my no list. It's a hard no for me. Kielbasa. No, that's not offensive. Why wouldn't you? I mean, who cares? It's Thanksgiving. You have to feed people the things that you love. And that's why we don't have any problem with people bringing the things that they love for Thanksgiving. But here's what we're doing. I'm doing one turkey in the oven, the roasted turkey, not stuffed. I'm doing one turkey on the smoker, provided after this show, I go look at it and it's in good shape. I haven't used it in a while, so I'm just hopefully it's with all the moisture we've been having and everything. If it's a big to-do, then it's going on the grill or something else. But I've got two 23+ pound turkeys. So those will go in at about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. Again, ideally, one is smoked, one is roasted. And then the two types of cranberry sauce. David, great to have you here. And so that it's chunky and smooth, but it's all one cranberry sauce. So in that is fresh cranberries, sugar, usually about half to two-thirds the amount that recipes normally say. I have orange peel. I don't really zest it. I'd put orange peel in there because you need some of that pectin. It kind of tightens it up a little bit. Sometimes I put a little lemon peel. I did today. Couple of cinnamon sticks. Tiny bit of vanilla. Like pure vanilla extract. Very little bit of that. And then the juice of a couple of oranges. And then I put some triple sec in there today. And some orange bitters. Delicious. Then you take the chunky one out and you put that in a bowl. That goes in the fridge to set up. And then you've got to kind of double sieve the chunky to make really smooth. So you're kind of getting, well, I'm not going ocean spray if you're US, but somebody will bring that. That's also, a favorite, but whatever. So mushrooms, it's amazing how I bought a giant bag of mushrooms, a combination of, white and portobello or baby bellas, large ones. Cut those into like thirds, and those go in with herb de Provence. They go white wine, lots of butter, salt, pepper, little Worcestershire sauce I put in today. Why not? And fresh thyme, and then also some fresh parsley, but I'll pull that. It's not it's not all chopped up. It's to get infused in there. We save some of that mushroom stock essentially before it's all cooked down. That gets reserved, which I'll do when we're done. And then it's mirepoix, so carrots, celery, onions, and that gets set up for the stuffing. The stuffing does have some of that reserved mushroom stock. It has Italian sausage, and then usually the giblets from the turkey, and then obviously turkey stock and cranberries, and then I'll make fresh croutons afterwards tonight. So that's going to be cut up the bread. We'll toast that again, herb de Provence, olive oil. maybe a little garlic powder, and then just roast those off, kind of like homemade croutons that you'd put on a Caesar salad. And then we'll get that, and that'll be the basis. And then when you make a stuffing, it's got to have eggs, of course, to bind it together. It has all of that other goodness. It's a whole to-do. It's a mess. We get it done. It gets mixed up, and it gets baked in the oven. There's probably about 17 pounds of butter in that stuffing. We usually make 2 trays of that. And then I make the mashed potatoes. And then the trick is Jacques Pepin's trick, where you take a whole bunch of whole garlic cloves, and when you're boiling the potatoes, you put those in with the potatoes, so it just gets all mellow and all delicious. And then when you strain that, you gotta let it steam off. You gotta get all that moisture off of there. That goes into the pot again, sometimes with a little bit of heat to just keep getting that moisture off of there. And nice challah for the dressing. For the dressing. Oh, for the dressing, the turkey dressing, of course, that's what we call it. I'm just having a moment there. And what was I just talking about? That was the next thing. I'm pulling. I was reading the challah. You had me at challah, Thaddeus. Oh, and I saw a pan-seared Lodge cast iron. Love cast iron. We're gonna make cornbread as well. So the stuffing, it goes in. What the hell was next? Oh, mashed potatoes. So then you're stirring it with a little bit of heat. The steam's coming off, and then it's butter, unsalted for me always. Then add the salt, the pepper, and then at a certain point, either creme fraiche or sour cream, and not like a really tart one. And then you mash it up, all delicious, and it's all gonna work out fine. The gravy's easy. It's patience. When the turkey comes out, goes into a big cooler. You guys could keep that warm. Now, the only problem with that is the skin if you do that. And it will stay hot for a long time. So it depends when it comes out. If I'm worried, I'll put it in the cooler to keep it, warm. If I'm not, then I'll just leave it out, just tented usually. But then all of those juices that are in there, they get mixed up. You add a little bit of flour, you're making a roux, and then more turkey stock, add blah, 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 and then delicious. And then all of a sudden you have yummy gravy, and you serve that in gravy boats all over the place. And the ham. Forgot about the ham. Almost always apricot jam for me. So it'll be a mixture of that, probably a little bit of bourbon or brandy. Mix that up and basically just bake that. And yeah. All right. Is that good enough? And then I don't generally do the baking. I know that there's a chocolate torte that's already been made. There's the baby poopy pie, which I won't eat. And then the fresh apple pie is being made after this as well. So there'll be at least 1 or 2 of those. That I love. And we have about 4 or 5 apple trees on the property. My wife picked all the apples, and then she cut up and she seasoned. She already did it, the sugar, the cinnamon, everything, froze them. Genius. So they're ready. So I'm excited. You can't beat a good challah. And the other day, I want to say the other day, I made like a proper Jewish brisket, and I wanted challah, and this is a few weeks ago, and I went to a place in just outside of Portland, bakery, not good. We used to have a bakery that closed that made a good challah once a week, and they weren't Jewish, but they made a good challah. All right. Do you time code sync cams? What system do you use? I do on, sort of bigger productions, not for the little stuff like the Daily Drop. And I'm using the TC1s now from Deity, and I'm using their slate, which I really like, actually. I think their slate is pretty great and very easy to use the app to sync everything. So that's what I'm using. I mean, I will say, Colin, that on... and that's sort of like in the smallish to medium-sized productions, but I fight for a sound recordist, so they're usually jam syncing all the cameras. So they usually have a lockbox, and they're just pushing that out to everything. And then they usually have a smart slate. All right. What did you make a grilled cheese sandwich with, Thaddeus? Oh, with the challah. Yeah. It's a little labor intensive to make a challah. I haven't made it, but I've read it, and I think Jess has made a challah bread before. But there you go. All right, did that answer your question, Brandon? Um, there you go. Well, yeah, what is that? We're on the Snowdonia. What is that? Oh, Red Leicester. That's going to be like a very aged cheddar, right? DJ. I don't know what Snowdonia is. I love a good Gruyere cheese. Anything in the Swiss family makes me happy. Cheddar. What kind of cheddar? I want to know more. Okay. We're Costco members, and they do have a block of, it has a British, has the Union Jack on it. They have this big block of cheddar, and it's, for $10, it's pretty dang delicious. It's a big block. We buy it every single time we go there. There's some good feta cheese too. That's actually sheep's milk. But that block of cheddar has a lot of like little salt things in there. It's almost like Malden salt that's all over the thing. So when you cut into it and eat it, it's just freaking delicious. Do I use an Atomos Ninja? I did used to. I don't use external recorders that much anymore. So I don't know. You might be able to jam it from something like the TC1, Colin. I'm not 100% sure. And, they do so many firmware updates to those products. And I don't know the answer to that. But I definitely hop on Reddit's not a place that I go hang out very often, but that might be a place to go. I don't know how responsive Atomos is to tech support questions, but if you're an owner, I would imagine they get back to you pretty quickly. So I do a post somewhere about that. Have you found that other people are having the same problem on the interwebs when you go to YouTube and stuff? I'd be interested to know. Snowdonia is a Welsh brand of cheese. I've been to Wales a couple of times. Is it when you say a Welsh brand of cheese, though, is it more in the cheddar family, more in sort of the blue cheese, Stilton-y family, which is not really my jam, but all right, I'll look around for it. Okay, what else do we got? What do we want to talk about? Well, I'm waiting for Colin to get back to me on some of that stuff. What other topics do we have? Anybody? Bueller? All right, I'm waiting for you. I remember when, and I need to reply to Ben actually, because he sent me an email about it. I remember when Kodak announced this Super 8 camera, and they showed it, and we all kind of got excited about it back in 2016, and then it just died. And it's not like they announced it and 3 months later COVID happened. They announced it and 4 years later COVID happened. So it has nothing to do with the pandemic. So I don't know what the heck is going on with that. And it was originally had a street price was supposed to be around $2,000 US, and now it's coming in at $5,500. Who knew that 7 years could more than double by a lot, almost triple the price of a product? Okay. Colin said, never seen anyone else talking about it. Seems the time code gets through the HDMI quicker than the video/audio. Oh, that's weird. Well, I guess it is and it isn't. Isn't there a way you could just jam it and then not do time code over HDMI? I mean, that would be the thing to look into, maybe, Colin, is whether it's through a tentacle system or it's through like the TC1 system from Deity, whether or not you could just jam through there and then just turn off the camera's time code over HDMI and then just jam them all. Something to look into. I don't know if it'll solve your problem. All right. DJ says, most of what Snowdonia makes. Oh, so they make more than one type of cheese. Company, not a type of or style of cheese. So form of cheddar, usually of one age or another. They're hard to miss. They pack in wax-wrapped rounds, and they're all nicely colored, or black or brown. Very nice. All right, I'll look for it. Snowdonia. So how punchy are those Kelvin little panels? They look like they can really kick out some light. They can. I mean, they're 10-watt units, so they there's only so far they can go unless they start to put some little panel lenses on them. All of the lenses that they have right now, and I won't call them lenses, all of the things that they have in terms of accessories are really diffusion. And they do have one that's a little grid for the system. They're really, accurate in terms of color from everything I can see. And, they have the same essentially light engine and LEDs that the EPOS system has. So from that standpoint, amazing. Best build quality, aside from, I won't say aside, along with probably the Roscoe panel light. Roscoe is built like a tank also. I have it, hold on. This thing right here is called the dash light from Roscoe, and this thing is this and the Kelvin light are the two beasts. I don't know if it has any rating here on the wattage. I don't think it does. Nope. But this is IP65, so this thing is made to be outside. I'll have to look it up unless somebody wants to look up the Roscoe DMG dash and see what the power draw on this sucker is. But this is a great little light as well. The issue is obviously they're all using different types of technology lighting wise, but this thing is bright, the little dash. It's not as wide as the play lights from Kelvin, but I really do like this. And that's gonna be here with the rats and the roaches. And that's not a dig on Roscoe. I just mean it's made so well. It's gonna get past World War III. So just build quality wise, I would say they're the two, and good quality of light. Originally they were gonna push a little bit more power, but I think there's a lot of challenges when you're building any kind of LED light because they produce so much heat. So I had a back and forth with somebody on the channel recently, about the idea of taking the LED and really separating it from everything else, kind of like that concept of a Sony Venice 2 and everything else is on the backpack. But manufacturers are already basically doing that. See, the problem is that you can get away with it with something like the Molus 100 because it's a 100 watt COB. You've got that big fan behind it, and that's your cooling system, and that seems to work. But just even when they jump to a 200 watt fixture, the Molus 200, you no longer A, can USB-C power it, but B, you have to have a big honking controller. The fan has to be bigger, and that jump from 100 to 200, I mean, technically it's closer to a 300 watt. It's kind of a weird light. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad light. It's just kind of weird how they're marketing it because it's a 200, but it's really got output like a 300 plus light when you use it in sort of their maximum, or whatever the name of that is for the light. So I don't think, unless there's a fundamental change or we're talking about a different lighting technology, that we're going to get away right now with COB style lights and these RGB ACL lights, which are essentially COB. It's just the LED arrays different, from having some heft to them, and if you want to do something like a 500 watt COB light and you want it to, to be smaller, you're really going to have to kind of go that Molus way, but it's going to be very flat and big. And it's going to kind of have to be probably a combination of a heatsink and also a fan. I don't know. I'm not an expert on all this stuff, but I've been looking at and using it for a long time. So I think I kind of have a pretty good idea of what the fundamental challenges are. Not the minutia though. All right, there you go. Those EPOS 300s, when I read the color temperature on them, you know, set them to 3200 and it's like 3210, 5600, 5620. I mean, they're so close in terms of Kelvin temperature when it comes to that. It's pretty crazy. And I think that's one of the things that I'm starting to see is, if you leave an RGB ACL light naked, I mean, you have a problem with RGB WW as well, but if you leave it naked with no diffusion in front of it, it is going to cast weird colored shadows, and it's casting colored light onto things. So you generally do have to put something there that's going to, just basically mix those LEDs together. But what I love about the EPOS 300 series, like I showed in my video, is they've decided to allow you to just pop off these magnetic diffusion filters, or magnetic diffusion, we'll call it. They're not, I mean, I guess they filter light, but they're softening light so that you can change the intensity of the diffusion, but also the little dome. I found, I'm kind of falling in love with that little modifier. I think it's great. I did all of these tests for the episode I did yesterday and the one that you'll see tomorrow, and just sort of having a little bit of hair light, a little bit of, separation. And I tried everything. I tried all of the different flat diffusers. I tried the flat diffuser with the two different reflectors at different degree angles, and that dome light, just naked, was the way to go. DJ was watching the Petapixel podcast. Folks excited about the Sony firmware updates that apply to a couple of the older models. Haven't read that. Interested to see. I did see something pretty fascinating on Cine D today, which is called what the hell is it called? Give me 1 second. I'm here. I'm just in profile. Okay. Put more questions up, kids. Don't mess around. Let's see what the going over to cined.com. Here we go. It's a combination product. It's called the Snap Bridge. So it's the Light Bridge, CRLS, the mirror system, and DOP Choice. And, they make the snap bags. And it's this really interesting lighting modifier system that's a combo of the two companies. Go to Cine D, watch it. It says Snap Bridge introduced, Light Bridge and DOP Choice team up, and I'm excited about that one. Anything lighting wise, I'm excited about. All right. Yeah, the dome modifier looks like it could kind of saturate an area really well, especially in the softbox. Well, that is exactly what I've been using it for. So what my big surprise, DJ, was that I really liked the way, I flagged it off of the background, but I really liked the way it just sort of spread the light and then hit my daughter's hair as just separation. And I was able to turn down the light, and it just sort of gave a very natural kind of spread of light. And that's what I really liked about it. But absolutely, in the Octa 3, which I've been using for the last couple of videos for my daughter being talent, I'm absolutely using the dome, and it's just spreading that light, and it's not creating a hotspot. And I haven't done tests with the other diffusers, but I'm pretty sure, especially with the lighter diffuser, that we would feel a little bit of a hotspot in the center of the softbox. Because little known fact, maybe not little known, but I think so, because I didn't know about it until relatively recently. Once you get past about a 300 watt LED chip on board light, it really isn't a good idea, and it's probably a really bad idea to have a baffle, right? So that's that. You have your light source, you have a baffle which goes between basically the light and the outer diffusion. That's your break. And because LEDs generate so much heat, it's one of the things that manufacturers have been doing. I know Nanlite does this with theirs, is they don't even put the baffle there. They don't have a baffle option in certain soft boxes, because they know when people start using 500, 720 watt, 900 watt, 1200 watt LEDs, that there's going to be problems. And you thought LEDs didn't produce heat. Shame on you, kids. So there you go. What else we got? We'll go for a little while longer, and then I think it's time for me to head on out to that smoker before I lose light and make sure that it isn't going to be a disaster, because I'd ideally like to do that. Just writing about that baffle. Haha, yeah. I'd much rather use the dome than the baffle that I use on my Aperture 300s punching through a softbox. Absolutely. The only problem is the dome's not an option for the Aperture 300. Though I'm sure there's a way. There's always a way. There's always a way. Got me thinking now. I mean, not about anything other than how to make it work with an Aperture 300. It's magnetic. Just have to be a very tight magnet. As in thin. I think anything's possible. Okay. I'm done thinking about that one. What do we got? What's smoking right now? Oh, DJ, you're bouncing. No, I just was saying that we're just going to keep going here if people have questions, and then I'm going to, end this thing when they stop, because I have to head over to my smoker and make sure it's A-okay for tomorrow for one of the turkeys. Otherwise, plan B or C. Sometimes plan C is the best plan. So what other questions we got? Anything else we want to cover? Did I see the video from Extra Shot that came out yesterday about the Sony camera releases? I did not. Is it a rumor mill thing? I don't even know what Extra Shot is. Maybe I should. Sometimes I've had an Extra Shot, but that's a story for a different day. Let's see. Is it what is Extra Shot? Send me a link here. Extra Shot Sony. I can't believe how much stuff I have to do today. I was originally supposed to start with the cooking first thing this morning. I started about 1:30 this afternoon. So think about how that was. I don't see anything here. Is it a YouTube channel? Because I'm not on the YouTubes. So you got to give me I need guidance here. Let's see. Hopefully I'm not playing any videos. Extra, he connected the order of Sony releases FX9, then to the Burano. Oh, interesting. Okay. Extra Shot. I'm sure that's going to bring up a lot on YouTube. Sony of tequila is the first thing or second thing that came up. Going to go to the channel. Is that really their focus on Extra Shot? Pretty much. Muting. Can you hear me, by the way? I muted my computer, but that should have nothing to do with the live stream. Just tell me. I need a thumbs up. And got a lot more subscribers than I do. Oh, this guy. I love this guy. I'm losing my mind here. What's his name? Come on, tell me his name. He's fantastic. He's English. He's a DP or DOP over there. Anthony, great to see you. He's fantastic. We had him during the pandemic. I was doing this show with News Shooter. So I was the moderator, and then Eric and Matt would do the show. And we had a lot of guests. Unfortunately, Mark Toya passed recently. He was one of our guests on the show. And I don't know why I've gone blank, maybe just because it's Thanksgiving, but what is his name from Extra Shot? A really lovely guy, but also very, very knowledgeable, very, very interesting. And I don't know why I'm not subscribed to him, but I am now. So thank you for reminding me about that. In fact, let me just go over here and do this again in profile. I apologize. And if you can tell me his name so I don't feel like an idiot. And that's up on News Shooter. So you can actually go and see that that episode. And I thought it was a really good one. I was really interested in that. Sorry about looking over there so long. And there you go. It did not. The links, I don't think links come through, Colin, through the chat. That's kind of a sucky thing about YouTube. I'm sure there's reasons for it. Legal reasons. That you can post pretty much any link you want on, on people's channels as long as they allow you to. So there you go. So, yeah. So if you remember his name or you can put his name in the chat, at least that would be great. But if you go to newsshooter.com and you look at that series that I did with them, we did it weekly for a long time. Then there's an interview with him and he talks about his career and, he's really into equipment and GAC and, he tests things and I just like his presentation style. I think he's really good. So I do like him and he's very cool. All right. So what else we got before the rest of the list that I have in my pocket has to be addressed because I'm about 5 hours behind on this 21 people coming over for the turkeys and ham, etc. tomorrow. I'm happy to answer any questions you have related to producing, production, anything else. We can talk about any of the content that's been going up on the Daily Drop. That's always up for discussion if you want to dig into something that I've been talking about a little bit more. And there you go. It's like a Traeger. What's the brand? I don't know. I did I get the Next Grill one? It might be. My barbecue is Next Grill. It's basically a Traeger knockoff. The only thing that I hate is the auger. The thing you put all the pellets in there, and then they go into the little smoke box. But it's so dang slow. They need like a speed-based auger switch. Because at the end, when you're all done, you need to clean that thing out, especially in Oregon at this time of year, because there's so much moisture that the pellets will expand, and then you're screwed. So you got to sit there, 3 minutes later, and it just takes forever to clean the thing out. It's not a problem you need to really hear about, but you get the idea. Pardon me. All right, Colin says, this is Extra Shot. He's basically saying that there will be a mini Burano with better specs in the Burano, kind of like the FX9 was released and then they killed it with the FX6. Interesting. Well, maybe that's our next FX9. Oh, really? With the auger. Yeah, that's the problem. All right. Hold on. It's going to make, hold on. All right. Noise you didn't need to hear on the live stream. Sully, good to have you here. I would like to hear your thoughts on LED light panels. Well, that's a pretty big subject. I think that there's kind of two basic categories. We have sort of matte / flexible LED panels, and then we have hard panels. And very similarly to chip on board, essentially we'll call them single source LEDs. Panel lights use a number of different LED arrays, technologies, light engines. But the two most popular today are RGB WW, where you have two different whites, generally a warm white and a cool white, mixed with RGB, for color. And then the second, which is starting to happen in the industry, are there any? I guess the Sky Panel X is. I believe, and we'll start to see more of this. But we're starting to see RGB ACL, or multicolored LEDs that combine together to make not only color but also white light. So that's what the somebody look up RE Sky Panel X and see if that array is RGB ACL. Their orbiter light 100% is, but I'd like to, you know, yeah, hear that. And then form factor, you're generally 1x1. More commonly nowadays, 1x2 seem to be what's people are settling on. I should be getting some of the Pavo Slims coming in. And by the way, Sully, there's also bicolor, so you don't always have to have that. And I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of bicolor because you generally get a little bit more output out of the fixture and stuff like that. Um, so the Pavo Slims are coming out. I'm interested to check those out. I've always liked the flex lights from Westcott. I think that they're very easy to travel with. I prefer the bicolor over the RGB models. I think that they're just, those are the workhorses, and I'm usually not looking for a light like that to throw color on something. That's right. So it's RGB ACL. Thank you, Thaddeus. I thought so. And there you go. So, how am I liking the FX30 over the Fuji? Well, different horses for different courses. It's really, for me, and I briefly talk about that in today's episode, the Black Friday episode. For me, a camera like the XT4 or XH2S especially is really like a true hybrid camera. And so you can use it for stills, you can use it for video, but it just has some things going for it in terms of color science, which I love, though Sony has come a long way. 6.2K, well, they both have full HDMI, but 6.2K, and it's just an interesting camera. It's also got ProRes. So I really like the image that comes out of the Fuji camera, and I really like their film simulations as well, but their log profile is great. But the FX30 for me is the right kind of camera for the content that I'm creating on a daily basis. That's what it's really, really great for. So when I'm doing things like the daily drop, um, I need to set up a camera and I need to make sure that focus is rock solid. Even when I'm doing the tests, like the BTS stuff or hero footage, it's sometimes a lot easier, unless I'm babysitting the camera, to just go ahead and throw up a A7C2 or an FX30 and use that camera. And I tend to not shoot that content. I could easily, because I could let it, or do something to it in post, but I tend to shoot in the picture profile 11 on that camera, which is the cine tone in terms of the dynamic range curve, the gamma curve, and also the gamut or the chroma space. So it seems to work out pretty well. If you get your exposure where it needs to be, then you're good, as long as you like the image. Sully, panel lights do have a place in product photography. I think it has a lot to do with what you're trying to accomplish and what it is that you're trying to light. Panel lights are fantastic for tabletop, because if you take a 2x1 fixture, its surface area is really large, comparatively to the subject that you're shooting, whether it's food or jewelry, or it's whatever, electronics. And so it's really, it can be really great for that. But a 1x1, a 2x1 is relatively small when you're talking about portraiture and when you're shooting people. And so chip on board lights are generally a little more flexible, because they start as a hard light and then you can modify them very easily. So you can take something that's harder, and then you can put it into a softbox, push it through a large modifier, bounce it off of something, which isn't really as easy with a panel light. And that's really kind of the deal. No problem shifting subject, Anthony. How do I feel about the Hudson Spider lights? What's the advantage? I like them. I think they probably have a patent. And if you're not familiar, everybody, with the spider lights, just look them up. But they're essentially an LED light that's built into the structure of the umbrella system. So they're relatively unique. Obviously, you could bounce LEDs off of something. That's kind of why this new Lightbridge DOP Choice product is interesting with the mirrors and the way they've designed it, because it's very small and you can bounce light and stuff like that. Um, but I'd like to see more people, Anthony, sort of go down that road a little bit, because there's a big advantage. It's sort of like, if you're familiar with, you probably are, but some people may not be, with the Rifa lights from, it's not something you light up. Lowell makes a light that basically the light source is built into the umbrella. So you open it up, and the original ones were quartz halogen. You'd open the umbrella, you'd strike the light, and you get a really nice full color spectrum, soft light that would be coming out of there. And then they tweaked it so you could modify it, because compact fluorescence became popular. So you could tweak basically the fixture, and you were able to swap them out. It's called the Rifa something switch, or not, something like that, and not switch, but something like that. And then I don't know if they've ever done a true LED with the Rifa light. But the Spider is unique in the fact that it's like the LEDs are wrapping, and they're all part of the whole umbrella. So you're kind of getting the light, and it's going out of the source, but it's also, of course, hitting the other sides of the softbox and then filling it up and doing that as well. So it just becomes a big glowy thing, which isn't a bad thing, is it? But the problem, Anthony, which is they're dang expensive. So they're not cheap. And again, I don't know if they have a patent or a patent, depending on how you like to pronounce it. But it's not something you're seeing from other people. So I think they're interesting, for sure. But do they have a huge advantage? Well, I think they have the advantage that they're just sort of all built in, and then maybe that light is even softer. But quite honestly, whether you're using a dome diffuser like in the EPOS 300 and then pushing that through something like Magic Cloth, or you are using a light where there's a baffle, a break, and then you're going out of the front of the fixture, then you can get very soft light using LEDs that way too. Big glowy thing equals good light. Agreed, DJ, 100%. And yes, as I said, I totally agree, Anthony. Not cheap for those Hudson Spider lights. And again, they've been on the market for a long time. No problem. But we'll see where this all goes and what other people come up with. All right, where are we? We're getting close to checking out that smoker, and yeah, I'm getting a little nervous about the light going down. And if I've got something to do, I'm gonna have to do it fast, because in the morning I'm getting up, and it's turkey time. You got two 23+ pound turkeys. I'm not worried about the ham. That's easy peasy. A ham is already cooked. You just got to bring it to temperature. You got to put good shit on it and make it taste good. And that's not hard to do. But the turkeys, those suckers, they need love and care and butter and herbs and all that good stuff. So I got to take care of them. It's going to be a lot of paper towels tomorrow. And cleaning those things, drying them up. I do dry turkey. I'm not a big fan of brining a turkey, to be honest with you. I don't really, generally there's some sort of, stuff in there anyway that's sort of brinying those turkeys, and they've got a salt mixture. I get the concept. I've never loved it. I tend to feel like it's always a little spongy, but I'm probably just not eating. I don't brine turkeys. I'm probably not doing it the right way. I'm sure I'm not. I do like that technique where people will dry brine it in the refrigerator for like 12 to 24 hours. That makes sense to me. I can think with that. And a smoked apple pie. Maybe I'll tell Jess to make another apple pie and I'll put it in the smoker tomorrow. That sounds delicious. If that's what you're saying, Brandon. All right, kids, that's what it is here. If you're in America, meaning the United States of America, because obviously, DJ, you're in North America as well. People forget that. It's not all about the 50 states. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your friends. I think you all know this, but that's actually what matters. Try to be passionate about what you do. Try to do what you love. We're not always going to make, I'm in a dry spell right now. We're not always going to make a lot of money doing it, but it's sure going to be, it's going to be fun, and every day is going to be different. You are absolutely right. Mexico is in North America. We are in the United States of America here celebrating Thanksgiving. Our Thanksgiving, Canada has already had theirs. Enjoy it, everybody. There'll be another daily drop tomorrow on lighting, another one on Friday about things like ad sales and affiliate sales and all kinds of things that I just wanted to talk about. I appreciate everybody for their support, and I'm going to go check out that smoker. And if you're rewatching this, have a great Thanksgiving. If you're in this country, everybody else, I'll see you on the live stream. Oh, next week, Black and White Film Challenge. Do not forget, if I don't get more than like a couple, then it's going to have to get pushed, but I hope it doesn't, because that's what next week's episode is all about. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.